Most people grow up thinking about money, early, often, and usually with fear attached to it. Before they ever earn a dollar, they're taught what money means, who deserves it, who doesn't, and what kind of person wants too much of it. By the time they're adults, money isn't just currency. It's a judgment. It tells them whether they're responsible, successful, respectable, or quietly falling behind. Here's the part that doesn't sit right. Two people can do everything they were told to do. Same effort, same discipline, same good choices, and end up in completely different financial realities. That's not luck, and it's not intelligence. It's programming. You weren't born thinking the way you think about money. You were trained, through phrases you can't even remember learning, through systems that rewarded obedience, not curiosity, through examples that taught you what success is supposed to look like. Work hard, be grateful, don't rock the boat. And if you're struggling, it must be something you're doing wrong. That script runs quietly. It doesn't shout or argue. It just frames every decision you make. What feels risky, what feels irresponsible, and what feels out of reach. So when someone tells you that wealth is just habits or that poverty is just mindset, it feels logical. It fits the software you already have installed. This is where most rich versus poor content gets it wrong. It treats outcomes as character flaws, as if the difference between struggling and thriving is a morning routine or a better attitude. What's actually happening is simpler. People are responding exactly the way they were conditioned to respond. When money feels scarce, the brain prioritizes safety. When safety feels threatened, long-term thinking shuts down. And when long-term thinking shuts down, short-term relief takes over. That isn't weakness. That's biology operating under pressure. This is why distraction is so powerful. You start something, a business, an investment, a plan to change your situation. At first there's optimism, then complexity, then doubt. And right at that point, something new appears. A new opportunity, a new trend, a new person claiming this one finally works. It feels like intelligence. It feels like adaptability. But most of the time, it's just the system resetting you back to the start. Starting over feels productive. Staying put feels uncomfortable. So people restart again and again, not because they're incapable, but because persistence without visible reward feels dangerous. Now add social pressure. Money doesn't exist in isolation. It exists in comparison. Handshakes, family gatherings, conversations that quietly ask, "So, how are you doing?" And when you don't have a clear answer, you substitute something visible. The car, the watch, the lifestyle signals. Not to show off, but to prove you belong. Most looking rich behavior isn't about luxury, it's about protection. Protection from judgment, from being seen as behind, from being dismissed. Once you understand that, a lot of financial decisions stop looking irrational. They look inevitable. This cycle is profitable. Teaching slow, boring reality doesn't scale well. Selling the idea that you're one insight away from breaking free does. It gives hope without requiring time. It assigns blame without naming systems. And it keeps attention locked in a loop. If the advice actually worked quickly, you'd leave. So the incentives align. Creators sell shortcuts. Viewers chase relief. And the structure never changes. The most dangerous lie in modern money culture isn't that wealth is easy. It's that failure is personal. That if you haven't figured it out, it's because you lack discipline, intelligence, or courage. But most people aren't bad with money. They're making decisions inside constraints they didn't choose and rules they were never allowed to question. They're playing a game without seeing the board. There's no quick fix at the end of this. No habit, no framework, no promise. What you get instead is something harder to ignore. An explanation. Most people aren't failing because they lack discipline. They're failing because they were trained to mistake signals for substance. They were taught to chase what looks like progress instead of what actually compounds. They were taught to judge themselves by visibility, pace, and comparison. Once that programming is in place, the outcomes feel personal. They aren't. What you just watched isn't a solution. It's a lens, a way to see why so many smart, capable people keep ending up in the same place even while doing everything they were told was right. Once you see the lens, you don't suddenly get rich, but you stop blaming yourself for outcomes that were never just about effort. You stop confusing motion with progress. You stop mistaking approval for security. And maybe for the first time, you realize the problem was never you. It was the game you were dropped into, without being told the rules.